Welcome back to Copper Star Precision, the channel dedicated to getting you more points at your competitive shooting matches. We're continuing on with the December course of fire for NRL22. Quite a doozy of a course of fire, lots of movement, small target sizes all around. So hope these videos help you develop a strategy that ends up getting you more points at the match. So this is the third stage in the booklet. It's called Elf on a Shelf, 120-second par time, round count of 10. And this is the bonus stage, which allows for extra points with time remaining on the clock. As always, you're probably never going to go fast enough to make up for a missed hit. So just focus on making your hits. You know, unless you're a top shooter and you're going for the tiebreaker, just make clean hits. It's only one target this time, thank goodness. 3 inch at 92 yards. I'll put the target sizes down here. And the course description is as follows. This is what we get for letting Sandel's Little Helpers design the stage. On the start signal, the shooter will engage the target with 2 shots from the following props: cinder block, 5-gallon bucket, 2-gallon bucket, flat tire, leaning tire. The restriction on this stage, interestingly enough, is no bipods. Kind of a bummer, because there's some creative stuff you can do with bipods, especially on tires, that you might have seen in my previous videos. But that being said, that's the way they wrote it up. How are you going to approach this stage? Well, I think there's 2 ways to kind of think about this stage. Some sort of front bag plus rear support. And I'm going to take this bipod off because we're not allowed to use it. And essentially, I think this is a great candidate for one of these game changer plates, cheater plates, with one of these flat bags here. And we're just going to go down the line. Think about the heights. The cinder block and the 2-gallon barrel are pretty similar in height. The tire is probably pretty similar in height. Here is a little bit taller. You might have to take a kneeling position there. But, you know, kind of experiment with this stuff at home. It's easy enough to go buy a, 15 bucks buys you these 3 props right here. So go to Home Depot, pick yourself up a 5-gallon, 2-gallon, and 1 cinder block. Practice where these heights work with the equipment that you have, the bags that you have. For me, I'm gonna use a flat bag. Buzzer goes off. Simply put that down here. I'll have a pump pillow somewhere on my body. I'll use this as rear support. Here I'm gonna get into a prone position. Find the target. It's only one target, one distance, so parallax and dope should be set from the get-go. We're gonna engage twice. Now moving over to this target here. Probably a little bit difficult to go prone. So here I might take a wide kneeling stance. I'll still have this here, rest my elbow on it, and then use the back of my hand as rear support. Come into the gun like this. If I need to get lower, depends on how flexible you are, just make your knees wider. This works really well with my elbow on the bag so that I can use this hand as rear support. This works really well here. I'm going to engage twice from this position. Back to 2-gallon, and we're pretty close to the same height, so here I'm going to take another prone position. Engage twice there. It's going to be a similar thing from the tire. I'm going to put it on this edge of the tire. You could also put it closer to you on this edge of the tire here, if you feel like you can get a better position. But going from 2-gallon just to the edge of the tire, less movement, a little bit of time savings. Again, with the rear bag, the really kind of wild card here becomes this leaning tire. This is probably going to be the most unstable position, and it's last, which is great because you're probably running out of time on the clock. The question is, you might be able to go up here in a kneeling position. If I still have my pump pillow with me, this is kind of where I fill that gap in my arm. I'm using my left hand, kind of grab the rifle and the tire, kind of like linking everything together so it's the most stable. More points of contact usually equals more stability. This feels pretty good. For these tires, focus on the breathing, find the target, close the bolt, engage. This kneeling position actually feels pretty good, but these tires are relatively stable. If your tires might be a lot more wobbly. This is probably the position you want to take. I could see somebody going down here. You might run out of room depending on how long your rifle is, what your barrel is. If you have a magazine here, it's probably not going to work. At least the Ruger magazines fit flush to the chassis, so there's no problem here. So it's either probably going to be this position or this top position. I think this is most comfortable for me, and this is why we practice these things beforehand. So when we go into the match, we're not surprised. We already have a plan of attack. So yeah, this is what I'm going to do here. And again, using this pump pillow to fill this gap, because if I didn't have this here, this is just kind of floating out in space and tilting the rifle. But having this here makes this whole thing just a really solid piece. And engage from here. This is, although it's lots of props and lots of movements, luckily, like I said, it is only a one distance, one target stage. So dope and parallax set to begin with. Really kind of important. This is probably one of the easier stages this match. Really try and get the points here. Again, even though it's a tiebreaker stage, it's not worth dropping points to try and make up for it by going fast. Essentially, yeah, I mean, just get the hits, 10 points is going to make up for any sort of time bonus. Really take your time on this stage. It's probably one of the easier stages in terms of target size and distance. It is a little bit of movement, but like I said, 15 bucks buys you these 3 props from Home Depot. You can go to call a discount tire near you, go pick up some old tires from them. They usually are pretty nice enough if you call ahead and get some tires. So there's no reason you can't exactly have a game plan for this stage before you go to the match. This is where you can really make up some points because the other stages are very difficult. Speaking of other stages, there'll be more videos to follow, so make sure you're liked this video, you commented, you subscribed with the little bell notification so you'll see when that goes out, probably tomorrow. And until I see you next time, as always, score more points.